Hello, welcome to Mending Threads. This is your safe place and your stronghold for whole body wellness. I want to welcome you to the Women's Resource Center, Mending Threads, and we're looking at transformation healing. And so today we have a topic, since we're looking at mind, body, spirit, we want to look at hurts and hangups. And we have with us, of course, our co host, Reverend Samuel Massey from Real Life Christian Church. And today we have also the pleasure of First Lady Massey. And we want to talk about this whole topic. So I'm going to ask Pastor Massey if he can come on, and First Lady Massey. Good morning. Good morning. It was morning for us and for
Yeah.
those our Facebook friends. Okay. And then I'm going to encourage people to download the Cultural Vision TV app on your phone. So you will be able to hear this and other talks at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evenings. So please take time to do that. So Dr. Samuel Massey and First Lady Ada Massey is from Real Life Christian Church. And today, you know how you see in the news, it's just a growing number of people with depression, with people who with domestic violence, people who were talking about what was done to them, people hurting their children, you name it, violence in the schools. And so a lot of this comes from the not healed, unhealed, or unrecognized, sometimes even not talked about hurts and hangups. So I just want first for Pastor Massey for you to talk a little bit about what you all work with in terms of hurts and hangups um, at your church. How do you different
Okay.
ways? I know you have a lot of different ways. Yes.
Well, good morning, first of all.
Good morning.
And we just thank God that we're able to be here this
Yes.
morning, me and my wife.
Yes.
And we have a program at Real Life Christian Church called Celebrate Recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose of Celebrate Recovery is to encourage fellowship and to celebrate God's healing power in our lives as we work our way along the road to recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And we are changed as we share our experiences and strengths and hopes with one another. In addition, we become willing to accept God's grace and forgiveness in solving our life's problems. By working through the principles that are used in the program, we grow spiritually and we're freed from our hurts and hangups and habits. So, this freedom that we get creates peace and serenity and joy, and most importantly, a stronger personal relationship with others and our personal loving and forgiving higher power, Jesus Christ.
So Pastor Massey, this could be just to either one of you. Can we just talk about? Can we separate those things, and can we look at when you see hurts? What are we talking about when we talk about what's covered in hurts? You know, we got a lot of mental illness, we have things like that, but when hurts sometimes can be old, sometimes hurts can be occurring at the moment. So can we just talk about hurts? Because sometimes people don't want to deal with it.
Well, that's true. And good morning. Um, yeah, hurts come in many ways. A lot of time it may be things from the past, and then it's bringing it out and dealing with it. If
Right.
it's a hurt from now, it's the same. It's still bringing it out and dealing with it. Bringing it up front because we hide a lot, whether it's the hurts, the habits, or the hang-ups. But once
Right.
we're in our safe space and we're in our small groups and we can share um, some of the information makes you dig deep and pull up things from the past. And
Mm-hmm.
once you can say it and release it, then it comes to the forefront, and then we learn how to handle it based on the Beatitudes. It's all Christian
Mm-hmm.
based, the 12 steps or so.
So Maslow's hierarchy says that hurts are different for people who whose basic needs have not been met when they simultaneously engage with trauma. And then they also, like historical intergenerational trauma. So they say that when a person's hurts, they have past hurts within their family, within their community. And then they also have intergenerational traumas that have gone on through generations. That when their basic needs, like food, shelter, and clothing, I want to see how you all look at hurts with people whose basic needs have not been met. Is there a difference? Do you handle that in a different manner?
Well, basically, what we try to do is that when we deal with people, we first uh, form the groups. And
Mm-hmm.
then from the groups, certain hurts come up in the group. And then as the hurts come up and are shared, then basically we're not trying to fix anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is we give each person um, a chance to just talk about the hurt without being interrupted. We allow them to just go it on and speak their mind. And some of the rules and guidelines of the group sessions, you know, to let us know that no one should be interrupted while they're sharing whatever they're sharing about. And then there's no cross talking or anything like that. Uh, we're just there to support each other and not fix each other. And we don't allow anybody to use offensive language or anything like that because it's a Christ-centered recovery group. And we let them know that anonymity and confidentiality is also a basic requirement as they
Mm-hmm.
begin to share, because people, when they're sharing, it's hard for people to trust anybody when they're trying to tell you something about their personal life, and they want to make sure that this is not going to be repeated anywhere. So once it comes out and we find out what the hurt is, um, then unless they ask us to for our opinion on something, we don't give it. We just allow them to talk and to
Right.
share. And as we go through the group sessions, they're allowed to take an inventory of their life and find out in their life how many people have hurt them as far back as they can think, and how many people they've hurt as far as back as they can think.
Mm-hmm.
And then what did they contribute to the hurt? you know,
You mean the hurt that they're experiencing now, the way that they describe it.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times we quick to blame people totally for everything that has happened to us. But a
Right.
lot of times we fail to admit that some of it was caused by us. Even
Yeah.
though you may have been hurt by someone, some of it may have been caused by you. You're
So
not
let me
necessarily.
ask this. So here's a young man that I saw this morning. One of them, and he what he does is he engages in relationships, and as soon as there is a little problem, he wants to break the relationship and says that I could just find somebody else. So we got to talking, and I said, well, what would make you want to do this? And what he was talking about was really fear of really being hurt, because he had been hurt by his father, rejected by his father, that his father was all into, say, I'm going to ask you, like, how would you all handle that? So he was rejected by his father, and he was afraid to be hurt like that. He said it was just hurting to the core, that he could never get his dad to honor or acknowledge him in the manner in which he wanted. So right now, he is just refusing to allow anybody. I see something real cute in the background. So, so he's refusing to acknowledge anybody when they get close and the behavior looks like that they're getting ready to hurt him. You see? And so I'm running in your groups when they explain, if he were to explain that, what does the group do to really help him with that real hurt? That core pain of being rejected by your father, and talk about how that affects their relationship. How do you all handle that in your group?
Well, in the group, there is what's called a inventory, and you list who hurt you and what did they do that hurt you, how did it make you feel, and what was your part in it. Because sometimes, I mean, it may be, like you said, his father, and I don't know what kind of hurt his father did or could have done, but it acts like what specific action did that person take to hurt you? So you have to say, well, what did his father do that, that hurt him? And then what effect did that action have on your life, whether it's physically, socially, like, are you not able to relate to anyone now? So it goes through, like, it's called the damage. What damage did that action do to you, to your basic social, economic, and sexual existence?
So I
So
guess I guess you go through and have them discuss. You kind of give them ideas, and they go through and discuss and whatever. Like I have this person, also another person. I see what you're saying. Another person actually shops and spends thousands of dollars every week to validate that they're worthy, because they said that they never, when growing up, never felt worthy. That they have to have these certain kind of purses and shoes and things like that to make them feel to be the type of person, or I guess to cast their mind psychologically that they're important. You see, and so that would be. So how do you help them when what how do you get them to see through the program or through interventions, to begin to see how the spending, how the way that they perceive things, because Pastor Master said something early
yeah,
to
because at the
see.
beginning of each of our session, as we talk about the small group guidelines, which is let a person share without interrupting, and everything that's said here is stayed here. We also go through, it's called the road to recovery. We go through the 8 principles that's based on the Beatitudes, and we also go through the 12 steps and their biblical comparison. So,
what can I ask you a question? What
sure.
are the 8 steps so that the audience could hear,
Okay.
or at least some of them anyway?
Right, right, no problem. The 8 principles that's based on the Beatitude is one, realize I'm not God. I admit that I am powerless to control my tendency to do the wrong thing and that my life is unmanageable. And that's from Matthew 5:3. Happy are those who know they are spiritually poor. Another
Mhm.
one is earnestly believe that God exists, that I matter to him, and that he has the power to help me recover. And once they can deal with that, that may help in some of their situations. The scripture to go with that are happy are those who mourn, for they should be comforted. And that's in Matthew 5:4.
I
Another
see.
one is consciously choose to commit all my life and will to Christ's care and control. And that's from Matthew 5:5. Happy are the meek.
So now, do you when you're going through those principles or those attitudes, do you help them? How do you help them see each one of them, uncover or discover that in their particular lives? Do you
Well,
have?
we discuss it to help each one to see how that, because one of the ones that stick with me a lot that we always discuss is voluntarily submit to every change God wants to make in my life and humbly ask him to remove my character defects. And as we talk about submitting our will and our way and letting God lead us, as we discuss the principles and the steps that helps a person to see where they are and say, well, because as we discuss different things, we go through questions like, so what have you not allowed God to take control of, and
Well,
why?
that's a good one.
Yes, and why? And then we
Hmm.
discuss that. And it's different things for different people. It may be, well, I hadn't totally, let him handle my finances because I'm afraid, or I haven't, totally let him handle decisions in my household where the kids are concerned. It's just different things that we have not totally turned over to God's will, and so we discuss it, and also why, and we move from there for each person.
So I was reading something the other day, and it was saying that when you actually start looking at how you use money, or when you really believe in the word, and you start reading and understanding how everything you do is related, it is that we will according to that find out that we're restricting ourselves, and that we don't see opportunities all around us until we turn it over. And then once we stop trying to take control, we'll see that there are opportunities all around us. And then they start coming to us when we have less defensiveness,
Right.
you see. And I thought that that was most interesting when they started looking at the energy that we have, that we're given when we're less protective or less defensive.
And
You
one
see.
of the things that's always encouraged, which is also one of the principles, is to reserve a daily time with God for self-examination, Bible reading, and prayer in order to know God's will for my life and to gain the power to follow his will that he has for my life. That's
Hmm.
a good one also.
So how do you help people? Now, this is a really weird question, but how do you how do you help a person relinquish their control and allow? Do you use visualization? How do you help them step kind of guide them into that? Do you share
Well,
experiences? I mean, what are some things?
one of the principles uh, Another principle is openly examine and confess my faults to myself, to God, and to
Hmm.
someone I trust. And
Boy,
so,
we needed to write that. We needed. I wish we had a big board that we could put that on there and make sure that that stays up there.
well, basically, in the road to recovery, the acronyms of recovery are representing the eight principles. Because the first one she read, which is aura, realize I'm not God, and the rest of that. And then the next one is E, earnestly believe that God exists. And
Hmm.
then C, consciously choose to commit my life,
Yes.
and O, openly examine and confess. V, voluntarily submit to every change. E, evaluate all my relationships. R, reserve a daily time with God. And Y, yield myself to God to be used to bring good news to others. So the whole thing in the road to recovery is each time they come to the meeting, those same things are read every time that they show up to kind of reinforce this and to make them aware that this is the road to recovery and these are the things that we have to do in
Hmm.
order to recover. And so,
Can we talk a little bit about that for our audience, because we want them to engage in it. So the first one was realize that I am not God.
right. And I admit that I'm powerless to control my tendency to do the wrong thing and that my life is unmanageable. And that's
Oh,
far.
okay, now, so if our audience was trying to practice this, can you give them one thing that would lead and help them take or explore that they're not God, that they're not in control of everything?
Well, the reason that they're in the group is because they've already come to, I guess you can say, come to the end of their life. I need to do something because I'm about
Hmm.
to run off a cliff. And if I don't make changes, something will happen to change my life
Mm.
because my life right now is totally unmanageable. It's out of
They
control.
would have to own that
Right.
they like the way. So we could ask the audience, do you like the way your life is going? Do you believe that you're in control of everything? Can you believe that anything? Because I had one person who's a native Indian, American Indian, a native Indian, and they were telling me, they were describing to me about God. And they said that God is all around me, Dr. Lewis. God is my wind. God is my trees. God is, this is what his ancestors taught him. And that I don't know about the Jesus man, but I believe that God is everywhere at all times. So what I was sharing with him is that, okay, well, let's just start right there. Okay. So in your class, to get them to understand or to move from one place to the other, you would get them to acknowledge first that they don't like where they are, and they would begin to explore.
Right. See what it is that they have to agree with the principle. The principle says, realize I'm not God. So they have
Right,
to agree with that.
right.
And then they have to admit that they're powerless. They have to admit that.
Hmm.
And then that they can't control everything. The things that are wrong in their life, it's out of control. Because if a person come in and that they're on drugs, of course, they know that their life is out of control, is unmanageable. If they
Hmm.
come in and they're angry at someone, and you have to let them know that when you're angry at someone, that you are living with an angry spirit. You operate out of an angry spirit. And the people that are around you can tell that there's something wrong with you because of the way that you communicate. And so once
Right.
they get to the point where they admit that and realize that they need to do something about it, then they're on the road to recovery.
So, Pastor Massey, we don't even have to get to drugs and all that.
No,
We could even just say eating chocolate cake and being overweight and know you overweight. Come on now.
I was just getting ready to say that my life is unmanageable. It don't have to be with drugs or shopping. It can be exactly that, food. We can say, I'm not going to eat this anymore. But because we know, we realize we're powerless, even over that, we're going to eat it.
right.
Right.
So until
Well,
we turn it over and give God the power,
that's
yeah,
right.
we can't do it. It's unmanageable when we try to do it ourselves.
So that's why fasting, even with food or with gambling or with some other things, is to trying different periods of time to encourage ourselves through prayer, scripture, poetry, encouragement, appreciation, all of those things to say what I am going to refrain from doing and call upon something that I believe in, my prayer, my support, my God, to help me understand how to overcome this, how to get through this.
Right. And then, people have hangups. If, like a married couple, you know how you may go to use the restroom and a man raises the seat up and a woman put the seat down.
Yes.
Well, the hangup is why you don't put the seat down. And the other one might be uh, because I need to raise it up to keep it clean for you. And people get angry and get divorced over just little simple things. Why do you always put your clothes on the floor or on the bed and not hang them up? It's so many different hang-ups that people have. And once you identify it and kind of make fun of it, to let them see how unnecessary this is. If you have a strength and you know that you can do this, then go it on and do it and stop complaining about it.
I'm
So,
smiling because my husband used to do that. Okay. He used to go in, use the restroom, leave it up. Well, I'll be doggone in the middle of the night. I'd run in to use the restroom and this cold hit this thing. My jeez. So you know what I did? I went and bought this sign, a beautiful sign, and I put it up over the thing and said, well, anyway. So the thing is a little sign up there to remind them that other people, some people stand and some people sit. Please be respectful of those that sit. And do you know that worked?
yeah,
Because see, they're looking at it all the time.
right. And those hang-ups that people have,
Mhm.
and it's important to them, but at the same time, it's something that you really don't necessarily have to get angry about. Um, because when you go to the restroom, everybody should be washing their hands when they come out. So whatever you touch, if you have to put the seat down, fine. But it's just you identify things like that and kind of help people to deal with it so they won't allow this to not be able to communicate, not be able to fellowship, even with a husband or a wife or a friend, because of hangups that you have that you need to really recover from.
So do you and how do you engage them in separating the hang-ups from the anger? Like the actual hang-ups or preferences from the anger.
Well, you have to get them to identify as to why are they angry. Why are you angry? What's making you angry? And why do you think anger will solve the problem?
Mm-hmm.
And they
Mm-hmm.
have to get to the point to realize, because the scripture tells you be angry and sin not. You can be angry, but you don't have to explode. You don't have to call somebody out of their name. You don't have to curse them.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually talk to them.
Mm-hmm. So
And
now you're talking about, oh, this is getting on into it, to this violence. So now you're talking about the difference between assertiveness and aggressiveness, and our behaviors and what we think. So this program is really awesome. So do you how do you, the two of you, do that as a couple or as couples in a group, like families? How do you look at assertiveness, like how to set boundaries, how to set limits, assertiveness, and whatever?
But couples are not in the same group. We have
Oh,
women groups and we have men groups. So just the ladies share and then just the men share.
oh, that's good. Uh-huh. So, but
because
do
there are
you?
things that men can talk about among men, and there's things that women can talk about among women.
Yes,
Because if you put them together, they won't talk about everything that's really concerning them.
that's true. That's true. So then, there's a little thing that when they're doing assertiveness to keep people from being angry, they say, okay, when you're talking, and I think you all do that in that group, when you're talking, make sure you describe what you're upset about. And then you tell the person how you feel. Then you ask for what it is that you want. And you can say some of the things that you will do to make that happen, you see, or available. And then that helps give them the structure. I don't know how you all handle that part in there with the communication
And that's it.
around how to do the assertiveness or the boundaries, like for women and men. Like how do you set that in your household? How do you handle that with other people?
Well, basically, in the small groups, because we're not trying to fix people, we listen to them. And sometimes they will ask, well, how would you deal with this? And so then each person in the group that may have experience
There
in
you go.
dealing with those issues might begin to share how they dealt with this or how they dealt with that. Because we even had, like, we get to a point where we say you need to make amends. And someone might say, I had a friend and this friend really offended me in a way where we broke our friendship. But this thing is weighing on me. It's really bothering me. And so when we talk about taking inventory of your life and finding out who hurt you and why and how you contributed, then we let them know that you have to deal with your part. You can't deal with their part, but you can only admit to what you did wrong and what you said wrong and how you should have dealt with it. And to try to make amends, you try to ask for forgiveness from that person, even though you know that person hurt you and you know that person did wrong, but you also contributed to it because you did some wrong. And so you deal with the wrong that you actually did, and
Right.
in hopes that that will cause them to admit what they did. And in a way, you can restore the relationship because of that.
Let me give
We
you an
had an
example of this
occasion, we
person.
actually had
So
a,
this person shared that, and this is, they didn't see it. It was difficult for them to see that. So because of distrust and other behaviors that they have, the partner went into their cell phone and saw pictures of old relationships and things still in the phone. And they have been in a relationship for a year. Okay, so some argument came up about one, the violation of going in the phone, and the other one is, defending what it was. The person jumped up and leaves the house and just leaves and said, I'm going to get something. Okay. And the motivation was explained that they wanted the person, they were so hurt and mad with them, they wanted them to guess where they were going so that they could become even more jealous. And so they left and went to the store. And when they got to the store, they didn't even have their card. They were so angry. They forgot to get the card to purchase something at the store, so they had to go back home. Okay, so when they went back home, the person wanted to talk. So what you're speaking about, you see, is how one behavior led to another behavior, which could have caused violence or could have caused a really problem, but they had not even one, just as a result of disrespect and violation of boundaries and violation of principles and caring because of distrust. So you said something about commit and trust. So how then do you all do videos, or do you do role play? Do you talk when you're talking about it? Do you have the person to show it? How do you do that to get them to be involved with the?
Well, basically, we talk it out. It's not so much video, it's real situations, real circumstances, real events that they're dealing with in their actual life or have dealt with
Mhm.
in their life. And they actually talk about that. They tell you what it looked like, what it sounded like, and how they dealt with it. And we had a situation where someone shared with us that, they had a friendship. He tried to make amends, but the person didn't receive it. And so we let him know that you've done your part. You've done all you can do. And so now it's the weight is off of you and it's on the other person. And seeing the way God fixed things, he caused the other person to have need of him. He could have rejected that and
Mhm.
say, I'm not going to help that person because I tried to make amends and wouldn't receive it. But because of coming to the group, he realized, okay, I've changed now. I don't think that way anymore. And so
Mhm.
I'm going to go on and help anyway, in spite of how the person rejected me and treated me.
Mhm.
And as a result of that person helping out in a situation when this individual had need, the relationship was restored because of that. And the person, now everything is even closer than
Yes.
they were at first. But we
Yes.
have to wait on God. When we do the right thing, and that's pretty much what we try to get people to understand, is when we do the right thing, then God is committed to backing us and to restoring us and restoring relationships.
Mhm.
So that's the real things that come out of these meetings, is that we're actually dealing with real life issues all the time.
Right. Right. Uh-huh. So I wanted to ask First Lady Massey, with women, what are some of the topics that women tend to bring? And then I want to look at men. What are some of the topics so that our audience can see some of the things that really that stood out for you?
Well, oh, several topics. One of the ones that seem like it continues to come up is a hurt from the past. It's been a lot of the domestic violence that you brought up before. Women have actually admitted and talked about being molested as a child, and due to that, that lack of trust is there. So it's hard for women to trust, as an adult because of the past. and their childhood upbringing. A lot of time it's been family issues of how they was treated as a child within the family, in a dysfunctional family, how that has made an impact and has affected them as an adult. And we talk about it and work through where not to repeat the mistakes of the parents,
Mm-hmm.
and show the love to the children and be there for the children. And it's like the generational curse stops with you. So it's
Mm-hmm.
been several topics that come up.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly it's hurt from family and loved ones. There have been drugs involved with some. So yeah, it's varied, and it's on an individual basis because we discuss a lot of different things, and then we talk through and walk through where she is at this moment, and trusting in God, who's all powerful, and moving on from here.
Right. Uh-huh. So do you all share, like, while the people are talking, are you sharing like observation of their growth, or do you get them to reflect on their changes so they can identify how they're going through this transformation or recovery?
Yes,
Do you help them?
we talk about where we were, where we
Hmm.
are now, and we see it in each other also. So yeah, we will talk about observations.
Uh-huh. So they get chance to get feedback in terms of their growth and whatever.
Absolutely.
What benefits, what are some other benefits do you see this program having with your leadership in the community or with other congregations? What could you possibly see to help more people?
I guess getting the word out and getting people to, a lot of times when you deal with people from other churches, a lot of times people think that you're trying to steal their members. You know, you have a program that can help anybody from any church and somebody in the community all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But when you try to reach out to other people's members, they're leery. They're leery of, oh, you might be trying to take my people. You have a good program, they like it, they might not come back here anymore.
Right,
So people are afraid sometimes
to
to
do that.
even allow their members to go somewhere to another church to receive something that they need.
Yes. I was thinking is such a viable program, and I had heard of it before, but since you've been doing the program, I'm more interested in it, and I can see so many different ways that it can integrate. So, do you see that this could possibly be a training program, like a peer training program, where you could train other churches to do it themselves?
Yes, definitely. See, what we had one church that said that they were interested in the program. So I invited the pastor to come over and just observe what we're doing. And I even gave him one of the big books that we use
Mhm.
to show him that he could start that same program in his own church. And he acted like he was interested. He came a couple of times and he brought maybe one or two of his members with him. But after that, after those couple of times, I didn't hear from him anymore.
Right.
So I don't know if he went on and started it or not, because I gave him the book and he never
Mhm.
gave it back. So that means he should still have it. And
Right.
if he really wants to start that in his church, he can. Don't know if he did.
Well,
because
I think it's going to be something that can integrate with something else, but it's going to be a really great opportunity um, for helping to change behavior in the community, in the schools, and everything. So that's what I wanted to ask you. Can this program be used for youth
oh yes, definitely,
and families? Yes,
and families, yes. And
right.
see, the thing is, what makes it good is that once they arrive at the church, they would all be separated, and it would give them an opportunity to be private. So if they really wanted to talk about something, they didn't have to talk about it, with their sisters being present, or with their mothers or fathers necessarily being present.
Right.
They could be in a group of their own and
Mhm.
dealt with on their level. So,
So
yeah,
the reading material, they have reading material at that level, or is this like a fifth grade and up level, or what?
the reading material is for anyone that can read and understand the words. But
I
even
see
if
what
they
you
don't
mean.
totally understand the words, they can be explained.
Right. Okay then. So at least school age.
Yes,
Okay then. Oh, this is sounding better and better.
because a lot of young people probably more are dealing with hurts and hangups. I would say very few of them will have drug problems, but the hurts and the hangups they will have, and a lot of them don't know how to deal with it. But putting them in a group with other peers of their own age, they probably would be able to talk about it, with an adult in the room guiding them through it.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And what we do is like we put group leaders or people that have gone through the program. We don't just
Mhm.
put somebody over a group
Right.
that have never gone through the recovery program. So all of the
Mhm.
group leaders the requirement is that they need to go through the program themselves
Uh,
before they can become leaders in the program.
very good. Okay then. So I think maybe it's sounding so good to maybe we need to recruit people on the 27th to sign up so that you can provide leadership to them as a part of your free training. And I think your church gets a certain amount to do that training with that first group. That's what I think. Okay, it just seems like that. Okay, if we were to look at the idea of how we could use our strengths to heal congregations and people in the community, then this would be something that would be a strength for the community.
Yes, yes, certainly.
And then that would be a way in which, because my understanding also is that your church has an intervention where people who are already going through hurts, hangups, and have difficulties in life, that you also help them with some basic information that's offered in the city or in Harris County.
Yeah, if they have a need where they, just like finding help with rent, finding help with utilities and things like of that nature, we uh, try to find people in the city that give those, give that type of help.
Hmm.
Uh,
And I understood and I really did, from one of the people that you helped on last year, that you didn't just give them information and hand it to them, that you actually supported them and checked back with them. One of your people checked back with them to see if they had gotten settled. And that's something that's very important that complements this particular training intervention. You see, when a person is in that situation and going through that, to know that they're not by themselves, to know that there's some resources that can help them and also connect not only physical resources, but also emotional and mental support and resources.
Right. And plus, there are occasions where we even gave them food.
Yes, I
Those
heard.
that
Yes. Mhm.
needed food. When we have food, we actually would give food out as well.
Very
And
good.
during the group sessions, we provide snacks and things like that for the individuals that's taking part in it.
Yes. So one of the things that, and we'll follow up, is that it's going to be very important now to really look at the whole health thing and make sure that we're getting our bio numbers, like the weight, the health, like you used to do, and things
Yeah,
like
we
that.
still do that. We do the vitals. My wife
Monthly. Yeah.
monthly.
Very good.
Lady Ida and Sister Sanders, she helps out. Those two, they still do that.
Okay, then.
So we
So I know Pastor West is going to be trying to get that information because they have two groups that you have received scholarships for your church. Okay, and then they're helping to set it up through the schools and in the community as well. hmm So they're going to be putting all of that together for you, um, so you can see. I'm just so excited about what you all are doing. And I call you all the lovebirds. So I got two lovebirds. Okay. So, but people need to see that. They need to see that people can go through anything, and how they deal with it together. If things are all going so smooth, then you got to ask some questions. But when you see people, they like, what to do with this, what to do. I don't know, blah 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 blah. Okay, here we go. Then people kind of like come together and discuss. So that's one of the things that I have, and as well as other people have seen come out of your church, come through the two of you. So I just wanted to, before we end, to see if you could say three things, or two or three things that would encourage people to sign up. Um, I know they can sign up on wrc-houston.com because you all have sent your resources in. But also tell them where you're located, tell them when your classes are offered, tell them how they can get assistance for their resource for things that they need, like rental and what. Tell them how to proceed.
well, basically, we're located on 3635 Almeda Genoa Road. It's between Scott Street and Cullen on Almeda Genoa Road. So it's not hard to find. We offer the Celebrate Recovery on Thursday nights from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Uh, we normally start sessions. I think we started in August.
We started in
We
August.
started back in August, sort of like the same time as the school year starts. We start and we work through it because we actually have to continue to work through it almost for the whole year, because it's not like you can come in and complete it in a couple of weeks and you're through. No, it's continuous, and we can add new people in,
Mm-hmm.
but it's better to start them out at the very beginning. So
Mm-hmm.
if they come, we can work with them, but we will definitely have to get them to start over from the beginning after we
It kind of
complete that.
rotates. You do this
Right,
and then you come back around. I see.
right.
So
So,
how would they call you? How would they get in contact? Is it an email or?
well, they can call my number 713-494-7186, and
Leave a message or something as to
they can
what?
either leave a message or they'll talk directly to me, and I could take down their information or give them information.
Right.
That's how
Now, is that the same number for the rental assistance or help or whatever?
It is.
Yes.
Okay, then very good. Okay, then. So I do want to say thank you so much, First Lady Ida Massey and Reverend Dr. Samuel Massey of Real Life Christian Church. Thank you for being on here and thank you for taking the time to take step by step understanding and explaining how this can benefit the life and family and community and congregations of individuals. Thank you so much. I
You're
You're
want to
all
thank
welcome.
our
welcome.
I want to thank our Facebook audience for being with us today. You may leave information at wrc-houston.com. And I want to say this: renew beliefs, rebuild faith, and reconnect families and communities. For it's not the circumstances we meet, it is the manner in which we respond that determines health, happiness, and success. So I'll see you same place, same time, same station next week. We should have with us Dr. Atkins, and we will be looking at things that we will be looking at transformation, wellness, and disease management. Okay, then. So we shall see you then. Thank you now.
All righty.
Okay.